Alrighty, everybody. Today we are going to talk about a first knife for a first-time knife user as an adult. We'll say 16 and up. You get your driver's license when you're 16. Get your you can kind of consider an adult in some ways at that point, right? So not little kids. We're not talking about little kids' first pocket knives. We're talking about big boys' first pocket knives, adults' first pocket knives, guys and gals. Alright, so please watch the whole video because I'm going to cover lots of important things on why you should get this, why you shouldn't get that, what I recommend based off of key factors in what features and what details you should look for. Alright, so stick with me, and without further ado, we're going to dive straight into it. Here's the legendary beard comb that I picked up about a month ago. He's going to make some appearances here and there, so we'll kind of leave him off to the side so he can chill out with us today. And I'm going to start off by showing you what some of my first real knives were, the first ones that I got and used. So first off, we're going to go with I'm going to show you the Boy Scout slip joint folder, common in the 80s and 90s. Boy Scouts of America, made by Camillus, however you want to pronounce that. So great knife. Definitely something that back in those days, in the 80s and 90s, was a very common, solid user knife. Gave you lots of tools, very versatile, great knife. The other one, the next one that I graduated to, even though I still used both of them often together, carried with me, camping, backpacking, whatever, is this Buck lockback knife. No serrations. Again, I would not recommend a serrated knife for a first knife, mainly because serrations they can hang up on cutting material, on the material you're cutting, and discourage people and make you feel a little less safe with the tool when you're using it. So I kind of prefer that people stay away from serrations, especially as a first knife. Alright, so lockback, great lock mechanism, easy to use, easy to manipulate, really good knife, nice size, good for everyday use. Alright, so let's go ahead. Here's the Spyderco Chaparral, here's the Civivi Elementum, here's the Civivi Odium, and the CGARB Feldspar and mini small Feldspar. Alright, so these are the knives that I wanted to use that are in my collection that I feel would make fantastic first knives for the first knife owner, that would encourage them to carry it and use it on a regular basis rather than intimidate them and discourage them to use it. Okay. First, we'll hit up this Civivi Odium. This version of it, I probably would not recommend because of the wood and the Damascus. It looks very pretty, and first-time owners might be a little reluctant to use it because they would be afraid that they'd mess it up and damage the beauty of that blade. So that kind of would discourage them. But the knife itself is all I cared to represent here. Alright, so what's great about this knife? Liner locks are awesome, easy. As long as they have great access to them, they're perfect for that, right? There's flipper tab that's not huge, not aggressive, not super pokey. That's kind of what you're looking for. The forward finger choil is great so that they can get all that much more purchase on the knife and can have all that much more control with the blade. Blade length matters for sure. Don't get a super long blade. Once you get past 3.25 to 3.5 inches, most first timers are gonna be a little intimidated by the length of that blade, especially when opening and closing it. They're gonna be just like, geez, that's just such a big blade, such a big knife. I don't know if I really want to carry that today or tomorrow or ever. So try to stay in that 2.5 to 3 1/4 blade range. Perspective handle ratios. 3 fingers is good. 4 fingers is fantastic. Alright, so that's definitely stuff to keep in mind. If they are only really familiar, if their faint memory of using a pocket knife is of a slip joint or a back lock, lockback, then maybe that's what you should stick with for getting them, is continuing that trend and let them have something that they're vaguely familiar with and will be comfortable with. Because if they're uncomfortable with the knife, they're not going to want to carry it, they're not going to want to use it. If they don't feel confident in using it, they're not going to use it, they're not going to carry it. Okay, that's judgment number 1. If you take them shopping with you, that's fantastic. Take them shopping with you. That way you can watch their reaction, their facial expressions, and get that judgment for yourself as far as what they're going to gravitate, lean more towards, as far as being more comfortable for them and more familiar to them, that they will use it rather than something that's a little scary, a little intimidating for them. Then you got to run away from that. Get rid of it. Don't go in that direction. Go for something that that's gonna bring a smile to their face, gonna bring a memory back from their past, and that they're gonna be happy and comfortable carrying it and using it. Okay, so that's the judgment that you have to do. Important things to keep in mind is protecting their fingers. Whatever opening, locking mechanism that you pick, multiple opening mechanisms are great. Having a flipper tab and thumb stud is great, or finger hole, a thumb hole is also, along with a flipper tab, is great. So multiple opening mechanisms is fantastic. Having a lock that's easy to access to and easy to manipulate and comfortable for them, that's definitely something to aim for. Size, again, not too big, not too small. Look at the size of their hands. Look at their expression on how long that blade is, whether or not that they're okay with that, or if it's a little intimidating. Price. Don't be afraid to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks, but don't go spending hundreds of dollars, because especially if they know that knife costs $100, $200, $300, they're going to be less likely to use it, less likely to carry it on a daily basis, because of one, they're afraid to lose it and it be a loss and have to cry about that, and upset you if they lose it, and have you cry about it if they lose it, or break it or damage it. Just, whatever happens, if it's in that $30 to $60 price range, it's okay. It's going to be okay. Go out and get another one. At the same time, you just got to look for quality too. Make sure that it's a decent steel. Steel matters. Steel definitely matters. Go with something that's going to hold an edge for a decent amount of time, but at the same time is still fairly easy to sharpen. Go for a steel that's not super rusty. Corrosion resistance is good. And at the same time, you don't want super hard steel that is very difficult to sharpen once it does dull. So kind of find something in that medium range, so that they're not instantly feeling terrible about dulling it in the first week of owning it, and they don't know how to sharpen. And then they don't end up carrying it, and they don't want to tell you that they're not carrying it because they dulled it already, because they feel bad that they dulled your gift almost instantly within the first week of owning it. So decent steel. Doesn't have to be a super crazy super steel, but not garbage steel. Alright, so judgment. Judge them, judge the knife, based off of what's going to be comfortable for them and what they're going to be most likely to use. Steel matters. Multiple openings definitely matters. Price, don't along with the price, get something that is good, and don't go overboard. Something that has good action but doesn't have the most insanely beautiful action. If you get something that's like cream of the crop, top of the line, action, fit and finish, details, all that stuff, and you spoil them with that. And I say that you're going to spoil them with that because that's what you're doing. They're going to, with that first knife, everything else they're going to judge from their experience with that first knife that you got them. So if you get something that has the best steel and the best handle materials, the best fit and finish, the best action, super solid detents and super smooth action, everything that they judge off of that knife with any other knife, it's going to be total shock to them. They're going to be like, well, no other knife is going to have better action than this one because this is all I know and this is what this is my base. Give them something as a base that is good but not super great. Okay, size and comfort, easy access to the lock, and something that protects their fingers when they're opening and closing. You don't want them to cut themselves. They don't want to cut themselves. So having a choil here or having a flipper tab that when it closes, that it kind of stops on their finger, on their thumb at that point rather than the edge of the blade, is on the safer side. Access locks are great, but again, watch their reaction. Access locks might not be their thing, and you don't want to push that on them. Again, the more comfortable, familiar, and confident they are, that's a knife that you're going to get the best likelihood that they're going to carry and use on a regular basis, and they will appreciate that. You will appreciate that. Okay? I think I've hit everything up that I could possibly hit up. I think that this lineup here are excellent contenders. Of course, there's a lot more knives that I don't own, but you get the idea of all the different key factors that play into effect as far as when you're shopping for a first knife for the person who's going to use this as their first knife. You want them to use it. At the end of the day, you're happy, they're happy, that's what matters. And that the tool is a good tool, I think I've said enough. Right? Everybody get the point? Alright, I hope this was helpful. I hope you appreciated this. I hope you stuck through the whole darn thing. If you did, hit the like, subscribe to my channel, check out a whole bunch of my other stuff. And y'all have a wonderful day. Till I see you next time. Peace out.